Hi everyone. Today I'm talking to author Liann Zhang about her novel Julie Chan is Dead. First off, Liann, thank you so much for being here. And I wanted to say congratulations on such an amazing debut novel. Everyone I know is talking about this book. It's so good. And I'm sure you're so busy. So thank you so much for being here.
No, of course. Thank you so much for having me and for picking my debut as your book this
Course, to jump into it, do you want to tell us what Julie Chan is Dead is about?
for sure. This is a thriller that follows a young woman who steals her influencer twin's identity after she mysteriously dies, only to discover that her twin's picture perfect life is more sinister than it appears on her social media feed. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I'm trying I want to talk about it, but it's also spoiler free. And I'm there's so many parts. I'm but this and this, we'll just have to read it. Um,
Yeah.
let's just say the island was interesting. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's a little wild, definitely.
Yeah, it got a little wild. Um, so you did a brief stint in skincare content creation, and then you went into studying about criminology. So this is kind of the perfect book for you to write. What was the research like for it? Did you already know everything?
I kind of joke that I feel like I've been doing like 20 years of anthropological in-person research like all my life. I feel like so much of social media, considering how fast it moves, it's the type of thing where you really have to be in it to really understand it and to like love it, but also kind of hate it in order to write this book. So I will say most of my research is probably just lived experience. There are definitely things that are inspired by real stories that we've seen here or there, as well as my own time being a skincare influencer. And, people have asked me if my university studies have helped in this book. And at first I was like, not really. But then I realized when I went back and looked at all the themes and my courses, I realized that all those studies kind of subliminally came out, even though I wasn't fully aware that I was like actually using my university degree for a purpose. Like, I guess I didn't waste those 4 years for nothing. But yeah, so I feel like all the research, it's all been building inside of me without me knowing it, kind of.
Yep. You've been preparing this for this book your whole life. You just didn't really
Exactly.
realize.
Yeah, it was
I
waiting.
I saw because I anytime I do an author interview or anything, I'm always I have to do a little digging. And I saw that it said you did content creation and criminology, and I was so this is the perfect book for you.
For real.
Um, I will say this book gives if you're looking for a movie comparison, kind of, it's giving Blink Twice and Yellowface, I will say. So I feel if you like that, then this book is kind of perfect for you.
Yes, I
Do you
know.
agree with that? Do you have any comparisons?
Yeah, I did watch Blink twice recently because so many people were comparing it to my book. I had no idea what it was. And I saw and I was like, yep, that is so
It's
accurate, especially
such
the
a good
second
movie.
half.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, the second
So
half, definitely.
I know. I feel like I feel like creatively there's always this type of weird like trend that like writers and like creatives get in all at once where like similar themes start popping up. So definitely that. When I was writing was also really inspired by like Midsummer,
Oh,
Triangle of Sadness, The Menu, those types of scenes and that type of vibe. So parts of those movies also came up, I feel like.
I see all of those comparisons. I'm yeah, you're so right. I
Yeah.
100 menu especially, I can really see. Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree with that. The book explores influencer culture and social media culture so deeply and talks about the different aspects of it. And so I kind of wanted to dive into that because it is such a because the book is about a girl who takes takes the life of her sister and steps into her shoes literally, but it also really explores that influencer culture and everything. And so I wanted to talk about that. Um, do you think that influencer, because the whole thing, especially with the influencers in this book, is that like they're trying to be more relatable and like authentic. Do you think that influencers are becoming more relatable, or is it because we are just spending so much time on social media? Oh my God, Kat,
They just
my
passed by.
cats are right here. I'm like eyeing her. I'm like, don't jump in this camera. I swear to God.
He always has to visit me at least once during an
Yep,
interview, I will. Sorry.
baby. What's his name?
That's Bean. I also have one chilling in the back called Juice.
Oh my God, Bean and Juice. That's amazing. Oh my God, mine's right here. Her name's Cersei.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Sorry. Anytime I see a cat, I have to talk about it.
Of
Um,
course.
but I mean, because we kind of live on our phones, and so what we're seeing is that because we're constantly seeing that we're viewing influencers' lives as more relatable because it's what we're absorbing already.
Yeah. I feel like there's so much emphasis on like relatability and authenticity, which I totally understand because for influencers specifically, and I feel like there's so many different kind of content niches online. Like you're not everybody's trying to influence you to buy something, but for like the specific type of influencer that their full-time job is to recommend product or to sell a lifestyle. I think a lot of audiences hope for a certain amount of relatability and truthfulness and authenticity from them because essentially they're kind of, relating to them as a friend, as like a trusted individual. Because if you don't trust this individual, like why would you go out and spend your hard-earned money to buy a product? So that's why I feel like as consumers, like there's a huge emphasis on this idea. But personally, I feel like more and more, and perhaps it's like this saturation in the space, and so many people are becoming influencers now, especially with TikTok, because like our audience attention is like kind of scattered these days. Like there's
Yeah.
never that one viral person, back in the day when like one video would go viral and they'd end up on Ellen. Like that doesn't happen anymore. People can get
Yeah.
millions of views and it's still like it's technically viral, but it's not really.
Yeah.
Like not everyone knows about it. So the meaning of virality and like fame and influencers is so different now because there's just so many of them. Um, so to that point, I feel like that authenticity has slowly kind of corroded because people have kind of really recognized that there's real like capital value in that type of job, that they can earn lots of money. It's very lucrative. And I feel like personally I've seen it and I've also experienced it in my own way where to get a free product or to get that sponsorship or to keep that brand relationship going, I'm willing to sacrifice some of my values or some of my truthfulness, not necessarily to lie, but maybe to hype up a product that's just okay or exaggerate certain things in order to kind of get that like commercial feeling going. Like you really want to persuade someone to buy it and to like show that you as an influencer have that sway among your audience. So I feel like in that way, because so much of their career is literally based on selling and getting people to do things, sometimes and so often I see it, you do have to sacrifice that kind of relatability, or not relatability, that authenticity in order to seem more relatable. Because at the end of the day, if you're not relatable, people might not buy the product as much, right? They want to trust you. They want to know that, oh, this thing works for them. They're just like me, so therefore it'll work with me. So
It'll
that's
work
kind of,
for yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if that relatability could be falsified though. So it's like this weird balance, and it's sometimes gets really hard to tell with certain influencers.
Yeah. I mean, just like how you were saying with like the viral video, like it's not like back in the good old day of Vine where
No.
like you have like that one person like and their video blows up. It's and like how you said like they go on Ellen or something. Like it's just every video you see is now a viral video. So like,
Exactly.
if every video that went viral went on a talk show, it would just be viral videos on a talk show. No, there would
Yeah,
be no other guests because of how many viral videos there are.
exactly. It's a whole different world. I just want to go back to the days where it's like Alex from Target, or is it the guy with the white vans? Do you remember? Like those are the good old
Those are
days.
the good old days. Take me back. Like
Yeah.
old YouTube Vine era.
Yeah,
That's the ideal time.
I agree.
With the amount of influencers and access that we do have to people these days, I the research process must have been a lot of fun, even though, like you said, it was like you were pulling from your life experience. And you said you based Julie a lot off of you, but did you base any of the characters, other characters or stories off of real life influencers? And can you say,
I mean, no, I can't say because I don't want to get sued, you know. As it says on the copyright page, this work is a work of fiction, you know. Any character is
yeah,
based on complete imagination. Um, but I think it's one of those things where any eagle-eyed online individual might be able to spot little references and
yeah,
inspirations here and there. I don't think like one character is entirely inspired by one individual. A lot of them are like a conglomerate of like archetypes. You know, you have your beauty influencer, the one that like does a bunch of workouts, kind of like a gym fiend kind of type of way. You know, your mommy vlogger. Like it's more like archetypes that I've seen and kind of picked out and put into one person. As well, of course, there's like again, as I mentioned, like little Easter eggs of specific instances that do refer back to you know, internet scandals that maybe have rubbed me the wrong way and have really stayed with me in terms of like just how awful these influencers were acting. So, a little bit of both, but for legal sakes, completely fictional. Yeah.
for legal sakes, all of it is fiction.
Yes, yes.
Oh my God. If they're listening,
Yeah, don't sue me. All
disclaimer.
fiction.
Yep. I love that. Yeah, no, I love like putting little pieces of circumstances or people into a character and not like how you said, like not basing it off of one story or one person, but just like a bunch, like how you said, like a conglomerate of just a bunch of stuff. I love that. It makes it fun. It adds like a bunch of different little characteristics, and I like it.
Yeah.
What was so Julie throughout the book, starting off like right away, she's making some questionable choices. Starting off from stealing a sandwich. Like, she's making some questionable choices here. During the book, while writing her, what was your relationship with her? And like, did you ever judge her for the choices she was making?
Certainly I did judge her because she's not the type of character that makes like good decisions. You know, it's she's been making bad decisions from the start. So sometimes I'm like surprised that people think like, oh, you know, oh, she's so, you know, not a good person. I'm like, yeah, like the whole premise was her
Oh,
stealing her sister's
premise.
stuff. Like, I'm sorry, were you expecting her to be good? I apologize if so, but certainly you've been misled somewhere because that's never been the intention. So and that way I'm always judging her a little bit because sometimes it's like, okay, whoa, that's seriously questionable. But I feel like that's also part of why she's so intriguing because she's this interesting mix of like complete unabashedness about that, but also like there's this rawness to her where she does kind of say things that are kind of relatable. And there's also a certain aspect that I hope the reader would kind of relate to her in this in some way and kind of understand why she would make these decisions. Like, so, you know, as you mentioned, starting off with stealing a sandwich. It's because she's hungry, you know? So it's like, okay, like, there's this mega corporation, this giant grocery store. Will they really miss a sandwich? Like, you know, it's kind of
Yeah.
understandable, but it's like escalating and then slow, you know, eventually she steals her sister's life. But by
Like,
that point, you
from
kind of,
stealing a sandwich to stealing a sister's life.
yeah, obviously, right? But at
That's
that
like
point,
jump there. That makes sense.
yeah, exactly. And you kind of get enough of her backstory and the twin dynamic that you're kind of like, okay, I'm like kind of with you, Julie. Like I kind of understand why you would do that. You know, she's kind of been victimized by her sister. Her sister at that point seems like an awful person. Like there's this like instinct of like, okay, yes, we're gonna go with it, even though it is a questionable choice to make. And it's kind of that, but like escalating more and more and more throughout the book. Surprisingly, you know, stealing her sister's life is just the beginning of the choices that she makes that are questionable. But I kind of view her as someone that's like you're just along in the ride with. You don't have to like love her, but it's like I love to watch reality shows, even if they're not the best people, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's just fun to watch someone do something a little bit insane or act a way that you personally
Yep.
wouldn't, like almost a
You're
case
riding
study.
the roller coaster with them.
Exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, I definitely did judge her, but like in the most fun way, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I love whenever I read a book and the character, it's like a morally great character and
Yeah.
like, they're not making the best choices. Like I love reading a main character who is like that. It makes it fun.
Think so too, and like when you want to pick up a good character where they're doing the right things, there's so many books. But sometimes you just need a little sprinkle of intrigue where you're like judging her, questioning her, but also you can't let go of her, you kind of want to root for her in a little bit.
She's making bad decisions, but you're still like, I don't want you to get found out.
Exactly. Before you know if you're in it with her,
Yep.
Yeah.
So you are at that point, you are a part of the crime with her, and
Exactly. You're complacent.
you're
Yeah.
completely, yeah, you're an accessory to the crime at that point.
Yeah.
Going back more to the book itself and not the message as much, but if you could picture Julie Chan is Dead as a movie, what would it look like, and who would you cast?
Oh man. What would it look like? I feel like I'm such a fan of shows like Fleabag and You where they have like that narration from the main character going in the background. I love it where they're kind of addressing the camera. And I feel like that format does make sense for this book because it kind of start like she's kind of vlogging her journey in a way without
Yep.
spoiling too much. So I feel like that kind of makes sense narratively. So I love that type of I don't know what it's called and because I'm not in like the movie magic making business, but that type of narration.
Yep.
Um and as for the main character, I feel like I've thought about it a lot and I always go back to Stephanie Shu even though she doesn't look like she's in her mid 30s. She is, which is like quite like a bit older, but people in their 30s are always paying 20s these days in Hollywood, so I guess it would fit. But she's kind of like my go-to cast for the main character, Julie, just because I feel like she's like kind of like the hottest Asian American actress, you know?
Yeah, she's
She always
stunning.
won an award and she's so good. Like everything I've seen her in, fantastic. So
I love
yeah.
her. I agree with that casting. I highly agree with that. I love her. I think she's stunning and I think it would work. Put her in the movie. Make this happen.
Please, someone. Yeah.
You want this to be a movie?
I will say we did sell TV series rights. So, well, auction. So
Okay.
yeah, so obviously I'm sure you know because you're more in it. It's like sometimes you get optioned and then nothing comes out of it. So of course I'm feeling, it's new and things are rumbling, but I'm not getting my hopes up too high, but it would be amazing. I would love to see it.
It's very exciting. I'm gonna keep my eye out then. Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna watch that. But yeah, no, I definitely like it is like just because something gets optioned doesn't mean it'll. That's how,
Yeah.
especially right now with the industry is so crazy. So like
Her.
everything
Yeah.
is just it's like a little tornado right now.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, if it's a good story, people will care about like people will like really put like their heart and soul into it. And this is a really good story. So I give it my vouch.
Thank
I
you.
love it. Um, to take over someone's life is a very like brave thing to do. I was reading the book and like for most of it I was just really stressed out that like someone was gonna find her out for like the majority of the book. I was like, oh God, this is happening. Oh God, this is happening. And there were like so many like variables. I was just stressed in a good way. And and like with Chloe being an influencer, it makes the stakes like even higher because your whole life is on display. So then you're having Julie have to step into Chloe's shoes where everyone knows everything about her. And so that makes it even more stressful. There's lots of stress. And my dad is an identical twin, and like there's no way he could pull off stepping into his brother's shoes. Like there's no way. What was it like developing the two sisters?
Mhm. That's a really good question. I feel like this is something that I actually had to work on a lot with my editors. The main character, Julie, did come quite naturally to me because I borrowed a lot of myself and like kind of projected a little bit of myself onto her, just not only in terms of identity, like, being, well, I'm Canadian, but she's like Chinese American, mid 20, early 20s, being chronically online. Like so much of that is me. So I was able to borrow a lot from my own person and my own experience into that character. So her voice and what happened in the story came very naturally, but the character of Chloe was a lot more difficult because she's dead in the beginning of the book, right? Like the only thing that you can learn about her as a reader is through outside sources, like other people telling her about or telling Julie about her twin or like reading certain things or like watching videos. Like that's all she can kind of get. And anything else is skewed through the main character's perspective. And obviously, the main character is very resentful of her sister. So it was a lot more difficult to develop Chloe's character because I was like very limited in how I could like put out what she is as a person without like feeling like it's too obvious, because if I put too much then it feels too convenient. Like how do you know all these things? Like it doesn't make sense. So that is something that I had to actively work on with my editors through the revisions where they're like, okay, maybe add a sprinkle more here, like maybe get these characters to say a little bit something so Julie can really learn more about her main character. um so yeah, it's a mix of like intuition for Julie and like lots of revision for Chloe.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like it kind of works because Julie doesn't really know much about her sister either
Mhm.
because like
Yeah.
they were like separated and they never like they didn't grow up together, so they don't really know each other. So that kind of works that like you had to learn about Chloe as Julie was learning about Chloe.
Yes,
It
exactly.
works.
Very convenient, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you said Stephanie for the main character, but
Mhm.
do you have obviously main character is like would you okay actually would you have Stephanie play Chloe and Julie?
I think so because they have to be so
So
identical
similar.
that yeah, like people can't like, it's not even a Cole and Zach Sprouse type of thing. Like it needs to be like fully. So I think it would have to be that.
Yeah,
I don't
I agree
also
with
like
that.
don't know any identical twins in Hollywood that are Chinese. So
I'm
that's
trying to think. The
maybe
only
there are.
identical twin I know is my dad. I don't know.
So yeah.
I feel like I know of twins, but not identical.
Yeah.
That's the
Lots
thing.
of fraternal twins.
Yep.
So, and unfortunately, I don't know if it would pull it off in this plot line. It needs to be like their
They
faces
need
kind
to
of.
be like the exact same. Yeah. Would does there anyone is there any other characters that you could picture or is like do you just have like Stephanie for Julie or do you have any other ideas?
I feel like I've fluctuated so much. Um, for the main character, or not the main character, for Isla or Is.
Oh, I
I don't
love
know.
his.
Like, yeah. Um, I was like thinking like Issa Rae. I don't know
Oh,
if it's recently watched Black Mirror Hotel Reverie. She was in that. She again, it's one of those things where technically she's in the right age range. It's supposed to be a little bit younger, but Hollywood, you can have a 30-year-old playing a teenager. So,
so true.
Um yeah, so her and like the main character, I keep saying main character. I mean Bella Marie. There's
She
so
has,
many
she thinks
people.
she's the main character.
Yeah, she does think
She does.
that. Gosh, I don't know. I know like someone brought up like Megan Fahey recently because she has like stunning eyes and she's so gorgeous. But also like Anya Taylor-Joy. She just
I
has
was
one of
gonna,
those faces that are like so like captivating, you know what I mean?
yep. Yeah, I agree. I was literally about to say Anya Taylor-Joy until then you said her and I was like, yep, we're
Yes.
on the same page here with that.
Perfect.
I 100% agree. And like the white blonde hair, the
Yeah.
eyes, like I was like I can 100% see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love like I can never picture my characters for some reason, especially the main
Mm.
characters. So I always love asking people like, do you know like what your characters look like? Because I don't.
Honestly, when I'm writing, I don't.
No,
I
I
just have like features that kind of project there.
yeah.
But it's like kind of in hindsight, who would I kind of slot in? But while writing, I don't have that. I feel like if I did, it would like kind of mess up,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. imagination a little bit.
No,
Yeah.
I can put people with like the side characters, but for some reason, like the two main characters, I just who knows what they look like.
Yeah, fair.
But leave
Yeah.
the people guessing.
Yeah, for real.
If this book, this is like on the same track as the movie question. If this book had a soundtrack, what three songs would be in it?
Ooh,
I'm like such a music person, so this always like gives me like the vibe of the book.
yes. I feel like I was asked by my publisher to put together a playlist recently, and I feel like the three songs that I would definitely, put at the top, it's like Jealousy by Olivia Rodrigo, because the lyrics are just so Chloe, or Julie, I mean. Um, Technically both. But I feel like that's the
Like,
perfect presentation of the two twins. As well, this one's like Lacrimosa by I think Mozart, because it comes up a lot in the book.
it was
And
in, yeah, I was like, I know that name.
it's like just this foreboding classical music that's, what is it, royalty free or like free access, whatever. It was made a long time ago, so anybody can go and recreate it and put it in a movie if they want to. Um, as well, maybe like, oh my gosh, what is it called? Was it Murder on the Dance Floor by
Oh,
her name? I forgot. Let's
Sophie
see.
Baxter. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Um, just because, murders are happening.
Can I contribute one? Possibly. Are you a Taylor Swift person at all?
I do. I haven't listened to some of her new songs, but any big hit and like the old songs, I love them all.
Do you
So,
know No Body, No Crime?
no. I feel like if you played it for me, I would know the tune. But
It's kind of it's really cool. I'm not even like a Swiftie or anything, but I was reading this book and like I was literally like it literally no body, no crime.
no, for real, she says that.
She said,
Okay, I have to
yeah.
look that up
So
later.
listen to it and let me know what you think because I feel like it could be a good fit.
Yes, definitely.
Although that one isn't royalties free, so whenever there's a show or a movie, it couldn't be in or it could, but
Maybe. Taylor Swift, please let us. Yes.
it fits so well. So you said that you have the option rights has been bought and you're obviously working on that, but are you working on anything next? Any new books coming up? A biased
Yes.
asker.
Yes, I did sell it in a two-book deal, so it's not going to be a sequel. It's kind of like how I end it right now. Some people are like, "Oh my God, I want a second book." I'm like, maybe 10 years in the future or something. But for now, she's gonna just sprue. Um, right now, I just handed in my first draft manuscript of my second book. It's about like a true crime podcaster that gets canceled and is so desperate to kind of reclaim her um reputation that she like tries to make a crime happen with a serial killer son. The pitch isn't completely
It's
worked out,
amazing.
but that's the general idea. And just like Julie, she makes kind of questionable decisions, but it is a different type of character arc. I don't want to
Love
say
that.
what it is because then it'll spoil Julie Chan's dad, but she makes different decisions and it's a different type of story, but has the same like weird, fun qualities, I would hope. Yeah.
I love that. I'm so excited for this. I
Yeah.
love podcasts and I love podcast books. And so I'm very excited for this. This sounds really good.
It's so fun to write. I did like fun little podcasts, like transcript snippets. I added the SFX and like description and everything, so it'll be so fun.
I love whenever you read a book and like in between chapters, they have like a letter or like a podcast
Yes.
script. I love that so much. Like there's like more, it gives it more detail and I love that so much. Or like a police, oh, I will die if there's a police interview in a book. Love that. That's my favorite.
I can't wait.
So excited to read this now because the book deals with a lot of different topics with like mental health, trauma, grief. Were there any parts of the book that were difficult to write, like emotionally or just like technically?
Yeah. I feel like the parts that required a lot more revision and like drafts is some stuff that happens in the second half. So I don't know how much I can get into without spoiling it, but the tone kind of does shift. I think like even just as reading it and in terms of the prose, there is a little bit of a shift in the voice. That I kind of had to work and like, massage and get right. So it was clear enough that things are not quite right and how the main character are perceiving things. So technically, in terms of like skill and like prose and stuff, that had to take a lot of work. And in terms of a lot of the theming around like mental health, I feel like a lot of that came out I think at the time quite naturally because at the time I was actually working for like a suicide crisis line because I also studied psychology. So originally I wanted to be a counselor. So I was enmeshed with a lot of those stories while I was writing this book. So I feel like a lot of that kind of theming and a lot of that vibe just came out due to pure exposure in a way, where I was kind of interacting. Sorry.
I said like you just surrounded by it.
Exactly. I like kind of got those stories in real time from real people and it kind of just came out the way it was. Um, I think as I was writing, there were definitely moments where I was wondering if I was like handling it in the right way or if it comes out like a little bit abruptly. Um, but thankfully, I think, I'm so glad for my editors who like if it was anything like that, they would have pointed it out. But if it was fine, they would have just left it. So I kind of just had to believe that it was delivered in the right way.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, definitely those scenes, while I did write them quite naturally, I did have to do a lot of thinking about how to handle them in the right way.
Yeah. I mean, I think like just being like honestly, like how you said, because you were working for like the crisis line and stuff, like I feel like the best way to like authentically like write a book and like do it well is because even is if you have experience with that. Because like you were surrounded by that. So you were hearing those stories and you were able to like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
absolutely.
Oh, that makes sense, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and so I have one more question, and then we have a few fan questions for you that the people wish to know. So my last question for you, which is one of my favorites actually, is because this is how I get book recommendations, is what are you reading right now?
Right now, I have an early arc of Mona Awad's second book for Bunny. It's like We Love You, Bunny. So I'm about halfway through that. So good. It is an arc, so it's not available yet, but I recently also just finished Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera because again, I'm writing a podcast book and that one is also about a podcast. So I was reading a bit of that. It's a thriller about a woman that's accused of killing her best friend on a podcast.
I'm
She has to
right.
go back to the town to kind of um, solve the case, kind of. She kind of has like a missing memory from that
Ooh,
instant. So that was great. And I also recently finished Tilt by Emma Patty. It's takes place in the Pacific Northwest. It's about, how everyone's like rumored around this like big earthquake that's bound to happen and it does happen and it's about the fallout of that.
I'm
And
reading
it's
that too.
yeah, a main character that's 9 weeks pregnant or 9 months pregnant, so like about to give birth. So it's very intense and
Okay, wait, I want
honestly,
to read this. Oh my God.
yeah.
I live in LA, so I'm gonna be reading it and being like, oh
No, for real.
my God. Okay, I have written those down. Those sound very good.
Mhm.
Okay, now let me figure out. There's a lot. The people are curious.
If she has any pets. Yes, so we just saw the pet. Oh, she's not there anymore. There was one that was laying there for a little while. I have two cats. He made a cameo earlier. Um, let's see.
I love those names. Where'd you get the names from?
I just love like I feel like I don't know if it's like an Asian thing, but almost every Asian girl that I know names their pet after a food for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but I but so many are like tuna or like mochi, or like tofu. I hear those sound ones a lot, but I'm just like I don't know. I wanted just like other names, so I did Juice and Bean because
One
isn't
of
like
my friends, she has like it's not even like a tabby cat, it's like a tan cat. and the cat's name is Quinoa.
Oh my God, that's so
It's
cute.
so cute. I love it. I'm like, I don't even know what kind of cat this is because it's technically a tabby cat, but it's not really. It's just kind of tan.
I'm kind of obsessed. That's like a special sounding cat.
I know.
Rare.
I love this cat. He's very cute.
I love that cat too. Let's see. And what age did I start writing? Technically, writing my first book, I co-wrote a horror novel with my friend in the fifth grade. So that was around like 10 years old. That was like my first book, like a full-length novel. Of course, it'll never see the light of day because it's awful and like weird because we were 10 years old writing it. But I guess that's the first book. But like when I seriously started writing, it was around COVID, of course, when I had lots of time to sit
Yep.
down and so that was around like 20 years old. That's yeah, COVID-19 20. So like around 20 years old.
We love
Um
a good, like, staying at home, pandemic, writing a book. It's a
yeah,
vibe. It's a mood. I love it.
it is. Especially when you want to escape from your current reality,
Yep.
go into the world.
Yeah.
Um
Like whenever you're like stuck at home, like write a book about being on a beach or something.
exactly. I
Yeah.
love that. This one asked, does she write to an outline or by the seat of her pants? So I am of a pantser. Um, this one was definitely pants novel. I had no outline. I only had vibes and like
I love
how I wanted the book to end and begin. Like the first scene, not necessarily the part at the grocery store, but the part of Chloe coming in with like a viral video idea where it's kind of a spoof on those, those YouTube videos or it's like buying a person a house. I just thought those videos are so ridiculous.
yeah.
So I had this idea for a twin, and that was kind of like very like I just thought it was so funny I had to include in the book. So that was always there. And then the ending has always been the same. So I kind of knew those parts and I knew I wanted them on an island because it was inspired by like beauty retreats, like influencer retreats. Um, but everything else I kind of pantsed my way through. But
I
in a
love it.
way it was even more fun because I was like along on the roller coaster the whole
Yep.
time.
You didn't know what was coming.
Yeah, exactly. There's a question that said, what inspired the book cover? Absolutely love it. Um, this was after they sent me, like my publisher sent me two book covers that I did not love. It's kind of ugly to be honest, and I definitely cried because I thought my career was over because nobody would pick up this book. Spend like 20, $30 of their hard-earned cash for this ugly book. Thankfully, they did change the cover. Literally went on Pinterest and like Googled like culty imagery and just found reference photos that were kind of like that, and that they took one of the reference photos I sent and then like kind of used the characters in it.
You're like
Yeah.
you're gonna I always feel like with authors, there's like two people who are on watch lists, serial killers and authors. Because authors look up the same things as serial killers.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
I have like a horror thriller idea that like I've toyed around with, which you probably would be are interested in. Um, and I haven't like fully dedicated anything to it, but like I've had to look up stuff for it, and I'm like, I'm probably on a watch list right now
No, for
because I
real?
sound insane. And
Yeah.
especially whenever I was younger and like my parents would like check my computer and stuff, I would have to clarify. I'm like, I'm not crazy. I'm just writing a book. I'm not crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. I definitely feel that. And sometimes I go on incognito mode as if it would change anything at all. They're still watching in
Still
incognito,
watch.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It doesn't go in
Um,
search history, but they're still watching.
Absolutely. The IP is tagged and everything, and we are all definitely on lists, and I think deservedly so at a
Yeah.
certain point,
At
so
this point, it's valid that we're on lists.
yeah, the FBI agent is really like on us right now
Yeah.
for sure.
The FBI
Um,
agent, like, oh my God, they're talking about me. Oh my God.
I know. They're listening right now for
Right
sure.
now. Yep.
Um, let's see. Um, how much time did I take to write the book? This again was one of those books that it was my first foray into contemporary and a character that is my age. So for that reason, normally my books take like a year around to write because I've written like 5 or 6 books before this one that, are not very good. My practice books or training books, as I say. Um, but I finally, for some reason, I don't know why I wasn't writing contemporary because I feel like that's where I best fit in. But as soon as I wrote this contemporary voice, it kind of carried me with me, and I finished it in like the first draft in like 2 months, like
Wow.
under 2 months. Yeah. And it was not even like a bad first draft because a lot of times I am a fast typer. Write quite fast, but I like require so much revisions because after I finish the novel, I realized it's like actually so bad and I need to rewrite everything. But this one is one of the first and honestly only novels I've written where the first draft was like honestly so solid and readable. Um, so from there, like the revision was also a short amount of time. I also got like beta readers, which are kind of like for first readers. Um, and I also took it as a good sign that all of them handed it back to me within a week, because normally it takes much longer for them to read my other books because it's, maybe not as propulsive. So I also took that as a good sign. But yeah, this is like a miracle book, not the norm. So most people are not writing a book in a month or 2 months, and I certainly am
Great.
not anymore. Yeah.
It took me like 6 months to write my book. A month or two is insane.
I know. I feel like I will say I was also driven by this. I was finally I graduated university and I was in a corporate job,
Mm,
and I was, oh man, like I need to get out of this any way I can. Like I need to really, there's a fire within me to get out of that life. So I think that partially propelled it too. Like I would write on company hours, and then after the hours it was work from home, so thankfully nobody noticed. So, I had my laptop on the side.
I
Uh,
used to write in school on set. I
yeah, exactly.
I same. Don't worry, I get it.
You need to get the words out somehow. So yeah, this was definitely an anomaly,
Yeah.
most books take a lot longer, and my other books have taken a lot longer too.
That's so impressive. Wow.
Yeah.
Ugh. I strive to be at your level of writing, but my ADHD brain, I can't sit down for that long. But one day we'll get to the point where hopefully I could write a book in a month or two. That
Yeah.
one day.
I hope to also go back to whatever mind space I was in at that point in my life because
Yeah.
I've not replicated it since. But
Share
I'm
it with
hoping
the rest of us, please.
one day again. I'm like praying for everything these days. I'm like, please. Um,
Okay. The people's questions have been answered. Yay. Thank you so much for being here and doing this with me. It was so much fun. I loved it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was like the best. Thanks.
Everyone, read this book. It's so good. Highly recommend. You guys will love it. And you will enjoy the roller coaster of this book. It's so much fun. Um, Liann, thank you for being here. And everyone, go check out her books.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.